Welcome to the Scoop World Order Special Selection Sunday edition. We're going live as they're revealing the college football playoff bracket. This is presented by Twin Peaks and Buffalo Wild Wings, the two greatest sports bars on earth. Make sure you guys patronize them. Those guys take great care of us. Twin Peaks, cold beer, great UFC stuff. Buffalo Wild Wings, cold beer, great UFC stuff. Perfect partners for Buckeye Scoop. So we appreciate both of you guys. As always, this is going to be a huge show because you guys make it one. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell and do something extra spectacular on this Sunday. Reward yourself and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Absolutely free. The best thing you can do to help our program. We're trying to grow that area along with our YouTube. So thank you for that. Spread the good word of Buckeye Scoop. Thank you so much, Scoop family. You guys are the absolute best. Going to get right into it with Nevada. We generally go in the evenings, but we're going to go today because this is a monstrous day for Ohio State and for college football. Nevada, a lot of projections. ESPN's geniuses had us anywhere from 5 to I think 11 last night, or 9 or something crazy. So I think that we're going to be 8 versus Tennessee at 9. What are your thoughts as we head into this, as they're starting to begin the show?
I mean, we're all going to find out shortly, but it still doesn't make any sense to me. I've talked to my best broadcast source literally 10 minutes ago, or I should say text, did not talk to. And I said, hey, any word on the college football playoff rankings? And he's like, no, nobody's got that. I think we're all guessing. So, and this guy would know. So I don't know what to make of these predictions. All I could go by is what I've been told before this, what's their stated criteria. And I just don't know how a team like Penn State would be ranked over Ohio State. And I know I'm kind of fixated on that, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, Georgia having Oregon having an easy path or whatever. Hey, look, they earned it. Number 1 seed, they should have it. But you should never reward teams for just not playing anybody. And if for some reason they do that, and then Ohio State should literally cancel all of their difficult home and home games with big teams. I mean, there'd just be no reason to play them because quality wins would absolutely not matter. Because I mean, look, Texas doesn't have a quality win. In Indiana, or excuse me, Penn State, their best win is Illinois, and we played them. So if they are ranked above us merely by the fact of that they played a weaker schedule and avoided all the big dogs of the Big Ten, and got up there, then I don't know. I'd have to really reevaluate. If I'm the AD at Ohio State, I'm really have to reevaluate these big interconference games because there's just no benefit to doing it if, in fact, that's the way it goes down. But we'll all find out here shortly. I've been shocked before. I'm sure I'll be shocked again in the future. But when you've got teams like Ohio State and Penn State who played each other, and they're comparable teams, neither are a conference champion, both have 2 losses. Ohio State wins over 2 teams in the playoff and a 1-point loss on a neutral field to a same team they lost by, or on a home field, to the same team they lost to by 8 points on a neutral field, and we beat them on their home field. I just don't know how you can justify going. I just don't understand any rational argument for that. But like I said, we'll find out shortly, and hopefully Joel Klatt is right on this one, and hopefully Heather Dinich is wrong. And as you said, the ESPN people, they had it all over the board, man. Some people had us ranked at 9, which is physically impossible because they've already said that teams that aren't playing aren't going to jump each other and stuff. So I'm eager to see it just along with everybody else. Just because, and I got to say something before. I've always felt like the playoff committees have generally gotten it right. I know people have been mad about stuff, but I've generally thought that Ohio State has gotten what they deserve and have been treated generally fairly. Not every year, but generally, I think they've gotten what they deserve. If they're ranked below Penn State, this is one of the most egregious things in the history of the college football playoff, in my opinion. So, like I said, we'll see.
Well, it's funny. One of the things I saw on Twitter, and I love Twitter, is that they had the old and I apologize for my Buckeye Scoop logo right in the middle of Oregon, but this is the old BCS rankings. So again, I played in the BCS era 1,000 years ago, and they've got us at 4. Yeah. So again, I like these rankings better than any other rankings because I think that it rewards the strength of schedule. It rewards the stuff that matters. I don't think that obviously, I hate that these conference champions get buys like Arizona State and Boise. I think that's ridiculous, but again, they got to figure this out. But this looks more accurate to me about where it probably should be. I don't know, but that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean anything. Indiana at 7 obviously is maybe a touch rich, but they only had the one loss to us, and they're the poster child for not playing anybody. I mean, 'cause they didn't play, and they dodged every good team in the Big Ten. They did beat Michigan though, so I'll give them that. We didn't beat those guys, and it's like I feel like we're paying a penance for losing to Michigan, like a huge penance, and that's why people are ranking us. I mean, we were 1 until we lost because our kicker missed 2 field goals at home versus Michigan. We lost by 3 points in a rivalry game, which again, it was the worst loss in school history, and we're paying a price for it. We're down to 8, and some people have us at 9. I don't know how high we could possibly go. That 8-9 seems right. It seems like they want to put an SEC team against us. I think that's something they'll do for theater. It'll be interesting to see if they reveal the times today as well, like what games are at what times, because do they make that the primetime game, the night game on Saturday? Because that seems like the most, obviously it'd be the most even matchup. It's 8 versus 9. SEC coming up to the Big Ten. I think that's the one that they'd want to feature on TV, but who knows? I can't imagine that'd be the noon game, because I think that they're trying to maximize revenue here, which obviously is all college football is about anymore. But I don't know, like when I say that they'll have Penn State above Ohio State, it's not because I believe that they're better than Ohio State. It's just I believe that I'm recognizing the stupidity of the committee. It's not because that's my personal belief. It's because I think that there's like this narrative out there where it's like, well, you don't punish a team for playing in the championship. I'm like, well, so if you get smoked in the playoff or in a championship game, that shouldn't count. Like that's ridiculous. Anytime you're on that field, you're getting evaluated. Like again, it's like with Georgia. Something I literally said on the show yesterday is that this playoff will be the ultimate war of attrition. And what happened yesterday? Georgia loses their starting quarterback. They're down to their backup. Are they the same team? No. You got to rely on a backup quarterback to go win 4 games in a playoff. Like, good luck. Now, again, they got it done versus Texas. Texas gacked it up yesterday, but they're in, of course, like always, Georgia. Like when Georgia's really good and they get to play a home game in their championship, it'd be like if Ohio State gets to play the Big Ten title game in Cleveland every year. That'd be a humongous advantage, just the same way it was with Georgia. And Texas didn't play great, and Texas didn't have their starting left tackle. He's a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. So again, this is a war of attrition. So we'll see who's the best team, but also who's got the best luck and the most health. Because again, Georgia losing Beck is a huge blow. He was the preseason Heisman favorite, and he fell on his face. He was not very good this year, but he's still your starting quarterback, and he still has significant experience. So I'm just excited to see these guys. Like again, if I was a player at Ohio State, I would just be so excited for this playoff format, because again, years past, like season's over, and I bet I wouldn't even want to think about how many of our guys would be opting out of a regular bowl game if we didn't make the playoffs. We'd probably have 30 guys opt out, but instead we're gonna have the full tilt of guys, and they've got a chance to go win it. Again, they watched Oregon last night, and that's a team that we lost by 1.2. Again, we lost our left tackle in the second quarter of that game. We got down to a terrible call on Jeremiah Smith, which cost us the game. So, Oregon's very beatable. I mean, defensively, they're just kind of all over the place. They've got really big time skill talent up front with Harmon and with Mateo Uiagalelei, who obviously we all know because we recruited him. We were the runners up for him. But I just think that their defense is very, very suspect. And, if we get, neutral site in a dome, JJ Smith, Will Howard, Emeka, you can wear those guys out. There's nothing about Oregon that scares me. Obviously, we can't let them run behind us like they did in the first game. Tez again last night, he torched Penn State and was kind of all over the place. And Dylan Gabriel, like, again, this is why I swear to God, if we ever take a quarterback that can't run like Kyle McCord again, I will lose my mind, because Dylan Gabriel scrambling around, making plays, breaking plays, it won them the game. On top of the fact that the RPO game that those guys run is so illegal in terms of you basically are building a facet of your offense that basically prays that the officials don't call your guys being done for. Because on the one where they hit Tez in the middle of the field for a huge touchdown, like their one guy was like 7 yards downfield, like their one offensive lineman, and you're just praying that the officials don't call that. And again, if I'm Ryan Day, especially if I'm Ryan Day, pregame, the whole game, I'm wearing these officials out saying, you have to call that. That is illegal. They get 3 yards. They don't get to go 7 yards down the field, because it literally makes it impossible to defend. Like, that was the hardest part about coaching RPOs when they were first coming into the game in 2012, was we ran some of them, but how am I supposed to tell Andrew Norwell not to double team and climb to the linebacker like you do on a traditional zone play? And again, that's something that I know that's really granular stuff for a Sunday morning, but that Oregon basically rolls the dice and says, well, they're not going to call it. We'll do it. And like, if I'm Penn State, I'm having an aneurysm. And honestly, I'd almost make it a challengeable call. Now, I know they'll never do that, but again, it really ticks me off that these teams get shredded by something that's literally illegal. It's like, so that's something that you got to watch for. But Oregon, they're deserving of one. They did beat us. They ran the table. Predictably, James Franklin choked in a big game. And again, that's the thing that it kills me. Is like, those guys are going to be ahead of us, and like, for what? Like, do you think Oregon caught a break not seeing us in the championship because they knew that our defense isn't going to give up those humongous plays like they did in that one. Our defense was really tight the whole season. And again, you look at our games, like, we lost by one. And I've said it before, our defense might be the best goal line defense in the history of football, because I've never seen a team repel people at the goal line like our guys do. And they did it again. They did it again versus Michigan. They did it again. They did it versus Oregon. So these guys got a lot to play for. And again, I love taking our defense in through the playoffs and into these neutral sites, because these guys play hard and they play well and they contain people, and you limit the big plays and we stay healthy, we got as good a shot as any. So yeah, this will be nuts. I'm really excited, and I love the playoffs. I think this is going to be one of the coolest things that has ever happened in college football. And Nevada, you don't think there's any chance for Alabama? Again, anyone that watches ESPN and tries to get like a fair viewpoint on anything, they're the most, obviously they're not in the tank with the SEC. They're literally in business with the SEC. Like, they run the SEC network. So the propaganda bills are just spitting like crazy right now. I'll try to compare Alabama to SMU and the win-loss over the 500 teams, the strength of schedule, 9 versus 15. I don't know. It just, there's no shot. If they leave SMU out, there's going to be a mutiny. But again, I personally think Alabama should get in over them. But again, that's just me. I'd rather see Alabama because I think it'd be more fun to watch than SMU. But what are your thoughts on the last spot between Bama and SMU?
I think Bama should get it, but I don't think they will get it, but I think they should get it. And again, and I'm not a Bama fan by any. I hate Bama, but come on, by any object, I'm a gambler. And I just look at them like, well, if Alabama was playing SMU on a neutral field, who would I be betting on? And well, that's not the only criteria. I don't know. Strength of schedule, 16th to 60th. Who has SMU beat? Louisville and Duke. Alabama beat Georgia. So, I don't know. To me, it just seems like SMU's gonna get it because, people.
Cinderella.
Yeah,
they want the Cinderella. They don't want the juggernaut in there.
No, and again, and I had predicted for preseason that either Alabama or Georgia would not make it to the playoff, and people laughed and like, "Oh, crazy Nevada." I'm like, "No, look at their schedules. There's a very good chance they don't make it." And sure enough, that's kind of what could happen. But if I was on the committee and I was the deciding vote between Alabama and SMU, I'd pick Alabama. I think they're more deserving. I think SMU's only path to that was winning a crappy conference. If they won that bad conference, then they're automatically bid in, just like Clemson just did, take the spot. But losing close in a crappy conference, why should that be? It's kind of like the participation ribbon? Why does everybody get a trophy? To me, SMU would be the everybody gets a trophy thing, but that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. I just think that, again, you talk about just don't play good teams. Don't just dodge them best you can and beat Duke, and you don't have to go. Bama beat Georgia. They gacked it up versus Vandy. But again, like I always look at, I'm like you, like I love numbers, big numbers guy. You look at Vegas and what would Bama be versus less, and I just look at it like if I'm Ohio State, who do I not want to see? I don't want to see Bama. I'll take SMU any day of the week just because Bama. We know what kind of talent they have because we recruit against them, and they crush it in recruiting, even with DeBoer. But obviously with Saban, they've got a lot of Saban's guys, so they're loaded like always, and nobody's like dying to see Alabama on the schedule, even if it is a new regime and they don't have the teeth that they used to have. But still, like, I mean, they're talented and they beat the tar out of Wisconsin when they came up here. And again, that quarterback, he is hot and cold, but when he's hot, he is a nightmare to go against because he can run and he's big and they've got big time skill guys. So yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad for Alabama because I hate Alabama. I'm just like you. When Nick Saban was there, I respected him though because I loved how they carried themselves and handled their business, and they were really tough to go against. But yeah, there's gonna be a mutiny in the SEC if Bama doesn't get it. But I think that we're all here for it, and I think that we love it. So I just like I said, I'm excited for Jack Sawyer. I'm excited for these kids because they have life. This isn't one where like our 05 team. I couldn't imagine how excited we would have been to get into a playoff, because we ended up having to play Notre Dame in a meaningless Fiesta Bowl. I mean, it wasn't meaningless because we were able to win and send the guys out right, but that's not the ultimate prize. Now the downside to the playoff is that there's only one team that's going to be happy at the end of this thing, but like that '05 team, they've lived off of kind of the goodwill of us not having to go to like a good game and play. Like, I mean, Notre Dame was good, but they weren't the USC or the Texas team. We played the Texas team earlier in the year. We'd have loved to see them guys again. And SC had obviously Lendell and Reggie and Matt Leinart, and I mean they were loaded. So that was a big level jump up from that Notre Dame team. But this is gonna be it's gonna be fascinating. I think it's gonna be awesome. I think that the teams, I feel bad for the teams that missed the playoff because I can't imagine the opt-outs and the portals that are going to happen for Bama if they don't make this, because they're not going to. And it's going to be exciting because, like I said, this is something we've never seen, and we felt compelled. I was like, we got to do a live show on this thing because this thing's going to be nuts. And I love that these guys have a shot to do the ultimate goal. And I'm talking Jack, GT. Most of these guys, they're going to start. The All-American teams will start coming out this week, and they'll have the awards. The big awards thing that's in Orlando is like this week where they give out the Thorpe and all the major awards. And our guys aren't going to win much. I mean, Caleb Downs is up for some stuff, but most of our guys are not going to get the stuff that they wanted. But the ultimate goal is to win the national championship, and these guys still have that in front of them. I think they can rally the troops. Again, it's the ultimate trump card versus Michigan. But I'm just excited. I think that these guys, I couldn't imagine being in their chairs and watching this. And most of the projections have us at 8 going against Tennessee, so you're going to get to play in the shoe again, which again I couldn't imagine thinking it's senior day and then all of a sudden you get to go run out there one more time and play in the shoe. Like, that would be like one of the coolest things, one of the greatest things, especially after you lost. Because again, the one thing I can relate to these guys with is like, I lost in that game too. I lost my senior day game and it sucks. And again, you never get to play in the shoe, never get to get dressed in the locker room again and do whatever, which again, life goes on. But these guys have a chance to right it wrong. And they're going to play Tennessee, which will be a big game. And it's going to be something, again, I'm excited about it. Nevada, are there any other teams that you'd be excited to see? Because like I said, I feel like the Tennessee thing seems like it's locked in, but if there's some sort of a shocker, is there another team that would be your second favorite team? Because obviously we were dreaming of Bama. That's not going to happen now. Is there a second team that you'd love for us to see in the first round in the horseshoe?
Well, I don't know. I want to see the playoff. I have a hard time believing it's going to be as chalky as people are saying right now. So I just want to see it. I want to see it come up, and then we can talk about that. What I'm excited about is that we have a home playoff game. That is 100%. Who it's against, to me was always going to. I was excited about the possibility of playing Alabama. So playing Tennessee would be great. I think the way that the playoff is set up right now with no great teams, man, there could be upsets. There's a lot of things can happen on the way to the title, and there's no super scary team. So if there ever was a year to be in a 12-team playoff, this is it. But I just want to see. I want to see the brackets. I want to see if the brackets make any sense, because if not, that would kind of you've got this 12-team playoff. Don't mar it by being stupid. and just making stuff up. You know what I'm saying? Like that. At least use the criteria.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the best ever was the one ESPN expert that had us below Indiana. They had us at like 11, and like Indiana was like, I'm like, they put Indiana ahead of us. Like, what did Indiana? Who they beat all year? Michigan, I guess. They beat us. I don't know. And that carries over, but yeah, this is gonna be incredible. You know, and again, I don't know anything past the first round, but who goes where, and you know who gets the one. You know, because again, if we win our game, we're right to Oregon, so we get a rematch with the Oregon Ducks if we're that 8 seed. So that'd be, that'd be, you know, the game of the century right there. Seeing those guys again. So, you know, I just like I said, this is going to be amazing theater. It's getting revealed. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably have ESPN on as you're watching this, but this is going to be really cool. And again, like I said, I think that you know, as they start pouring these out, I imagine that they're going to go. It'd be interesting to see if they go with the one all the way down to 16 for the drama. If they go reverse order, because obviously everyone knows Oregon's going to be 1. There they are. Because they revealed Oregon, they're 1, top of the bracket. This thing is rolling. Nevada, should we do it over under how many commercial breaks they're going to take as they get down to the very bottom of the thing? Are they going to take? We got to go to commercial again. Another 5-minute spot as they're taking it. Yeah. Georgia's 2, easy. I mean, this is all chalk. Then it's going to be Boise, Arizona State, super easy. Boise's surprising because, you know, they I mean, Oregon needed a last-second field goal to beat them too. So I think they're a little bit better than people think, especially with their running back. But again, you never know, man. It takes a hot team. But again, I'm not scared of either of those teams. And Georgia, I mean, it's funny. Georgia ends up at 2 after being, you know, I mean, kind of left for dead in the SEC. And they were, if they lose that game, they might have been out. They're probably out of the playoffs with 3 losses. But
it was weird though. Georgia, like, you know, they win a 7 overtime game against Georgia Tech at home, and somehow they're just like, oh, that's great, you guys won because you won a 7 overtime game. But we lose the game to Michigan, and it's like we just fall down to 11. We fall down to 11. Put them behind everybody. First team out. Ohio State.
Ohio State. They lost. Georgia won. The 3-point swing. Yeah, I mean it's funny. Like, it's amazing. This Vanderbilt thing is going to kill Bama. I think. Yeah, they lose 1 game to Vandy. Man, you lose to Vandy, you don't get in the playoffs. Sorry. But yeah, like I think how about Clemson? Like, Clemson comes out of just absolute nowhere and makes it. So Boise's the 3, just like we projected. Then Arizona State's gonna be the 4. So the Nevadabuck pray that you're the 5th seed thing is like the greatest thing ever, because they're gonna see Arizona State in the second round. I'm like, Jesus, the team that's picked to be in last place in the whatever conference they're in, and they just oh my god. Like, can you imagine? Like, you get to play Arizona State, and they're in the playoffs.
What a gift!
What a gift! Yeah. A bunch of 3- and 4-star kids that were picked to be last in their conference preseason. Now they're good, and they had to beat Iowa State, but you know, it's like Ohio State. I mean, we got to play Oregon round 2 versus Arizona State. You might as well cruise on into the semis after that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I mean, obviously, it's gonna be Oregon, Georgia. I think whoever plays Boise and Arizona State, they're going to cruise on in and play. But yeah, what an amazing thing. And again, like their coach is like 34 years old, the Dillingham guy, and it's just, but he had a little bit of Nevadabuck in him because he was going for it. He went for it on like his own 30 last night early in the game, and it's like, yeah, it's probably going to be that's going to be the new wave. The new the Gen Z coaches are going to be out there going for it on their own 10-yard line. But hey, it works. Aggression doesn't hurt.
It makes sense, man. It makes perfect sense.
It's math. You know?
It's just math, man. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's simply math.
Yeah. I'm excited. This will be give me my 10 commercials. I can't wait as they get through to revealing 5. It's like they're gonna take all this time to explain the chalk top 4. Then they're gonna bring in Jabba the Hutt, Ward Manuel to talk about a little bit. So that'll be good. I always remember that Ward's sitting in there. Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs is sitting in there as the overseer of this whole thing. So when Ohio State is like, the last seed in the tournament, I'm like, oh, I figured. There it is. He must have been listening to our podcast and all the mean things he said. See, I love like the CFP rankings. They've got Clemson's at 12. Arizona State Arizona State, Boise's at 9, but they get to be a 3 seed because of the stupid They got to change that, and that's ridiculous. Only college football do you have like the number 12 team gets to be the 4 seed because they won their conference. I don't know. It's a joke.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
That's a joke. I mean, that's like if you had like a relegated soccer team gets to be like a top seed and get a bye because they didn't play anybody. What are we talking about? If an MLS team gets to be in like the Premier League and versus La Liga, and they're like, yeah, those teams are going to get shredded by those good European teams. All right, so Clemson's 12, the least surprising thing of all time. And they're playing the Longhorns at 5, which I projected. Thank you. Hook 'em. Let's go, Quinny. Let's see it, baby. So my beloved Longhorns are getting the SEC love, and they get to go. They're at 5. So yeah, they'll cruise right on in because Texas they'll smoke Clemson, then they'll smoke Arizona State, and then they'll cruise on to play Oregon. So that'll be easy money. So Nevada's beloved Penn State Nittany Lions will likely be 6. I'm going to project his beloved Penn State Nittany Lions. Are you there, Nevada? Zombie Nation?
I'm here, so I'm just watching this. I'm on delay from you, so like my spectrum, like you could be live betting me and kill me. My spectrum is like way behind yours.
Oh, it's okay. We can't all have YouTube TV like regular homies do.
I know.
Do you want me to not talk for a minute?
No, we need to do a GoFundMe for Nevadabuck UT or something like that because I have YouTube TV.
Penn State's at 6. I just won my live bet with Nevada. Nevada is paying for my vacation to Vegas. Thank you, Nevada. Man. Appreciate you.
That's ridiculous. I want to hear the defense of that.
It's because James Franklin's he's got a great haircut compared to Ryan Day. I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's just insane. So it just doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
The Penn State Nittany Lions are at 6, baby. So all we need is the Buckeyes versus the Volunteers at 8. Then I'll be cruising. That's funny. Penn State finished up at number 4. Notre Dame is at number 7. Yep. Looks like going down.
It's just because the teams that didn't play just are automatically slotted, so that's very chalky.
And here comes the Buckeyes, baby. Now give me number 9. Give me the old Rocky Tops. This will be the Ryan Miller Bowl. Transfer from Dublin Jerome kid who transferred from Tennessee to Ohio State. This is going to be great. Number 8 is going to be the Buckeyes. Hurry up and reveal it, Ward. Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, they have Ohio State as 6th in the final rankings. Just
Yep.
But you get the 8 seed because of that playoff thing.
There's the Bucks. We got a home game, baby. That's all that matters. Now let's give us the Tennessee Volunteers. Penn State ahead of Ohio State. Just says Nevadabuck dreaded.
Well,
the team we beat.
It's not about dreading. It's just stupid. Somebody.
I think it's stupid because like Penn State when they win they get to play Boise. When we win we get to play Oregon. That's not fun.
But it's just stupid. But it's just stupid. Again, letter to Ross Bjork right now. Cancel all your big games. There's no incentive for playing a tough schedule. There's no incentive for playing a tough schedule. Why would you do that? It's just dumb. I mean, it's like that Oregon game early in the year. If that was a non-conference game, I know Oregon's part of the Big Ten right now, but like it's just so dumb to play those games, man. I'm telling you, it is so dumb because you get no benefit for it. We get no benefit from a 1-point loss at Oregon. None.
Letter to Ryan Day, recruit a kicker. We got the Tennessee Volunteers, baby. Pre-show Barton. There we go. We're seeing the Vols in the shoe. Let's go. The Tennessee Volunteers and the Ohio State Buckeyes in the horseshoe. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. The SEC comes north, and I'm sure that'll be I'll bet that'll be the night game because all these other games are going to be huge spreads. I'm guessing. So There we go, Nevada. Rocky Top coming to the show.
Yeah.
Get the Jack Daniels out. Get the moonshine out for the homies.
Yeah, I don't like the game. I mean, I don't like the game.
I don't like it because they look really when they're on. They're
I'm not,
good.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that that's who we're playing. I think it's silly.
Why? Because you think that we should be ranked higher. Obviously, you think we should be 6.
Yeah, I think we should be 6. I just think that's a silly matchup, by the committee. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, Penn State. Who did Penn State? Penn State was ranked 4th by the CFP. Who did they beat?
We said this, Illinois. The Illini.
It's just crazy. It's just absolutely insane. They have no quality wins.
That's the world that we live in now. Quality wins do not matter anymore. I mean, dude, SMU's going to get in. SMU's going to get in over Alabama. So, I mean, quality wins don't mean it. I mean, Bama beat Georgia. There's Indiana. Indiana is playing at Notre Dame. The winner gets Georgia. That'll be fun. So, Georgia's going to go to the Final Four. Texas is going to go to the Final Four.
I mean, Penn State gets SMU and then Boise State.
Yeah, that is a cakewalk. Jesus,
yeah,
we have Tennessee and Oregon. Those are like two top 5 teams.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, yeah, talk about getting screwed. We definitely got screwed. There's no question about that.
I mean, Penn State's gonna go for it. So memo to Ryan Day, go get a kicker for the love of Christ, because our kicker costs us getting a higher seed and not have to deal with this trash. But it is what it is. We didn't take the kid that won the Groves Award last year. We kept the kid that we had that is a fruit loop.
Objectively, other than Tennessee, nobody has a tougher road to the playoff than we do.
No, dude. I mean, we got to play the best team in the country week 2 if we make it.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and Tennessee's that's no walk in the park. Tennessee's gonna be tough. Their defensive ends are the best pass rusher in the country. So our tackles better get their asses ready.
Who didn't beat anybody? They might have the easiest path to the championship.
Yeah. SMU and Boise State. Oh, absolutely. Well, dude, they don't have to see Oregon until the last game. Yeah, they're gonna, Notre Dame will run through Indiana, and then Georgia will crush Notre Dame, and then it'll be Penn State versus Georgia. And again, Georgia's got a backup quarterback. So, I mean, I'm not saying Penn State's great, but I mean, I'd take Georgia with a backup quarterback over Oregon with Dylan Gabriel. Oh my God, I'd take that any day of the week. So
yeah.
We better help on that defensive end that Tennessee's got, though, because he's the first rounder. He's real. I know that our guys don't understand how to stop like one good defensive lineman, but again, I would help on that guy. I'm just telling you, he's real. I think I gotta go to commercial. Please go to commercial. SMU, baby. Sorry, Bama. See you later, alligator.
I mean, yep. I think that's just terrible. I think that's just terrible.
Dude, it's the dumbest. I mean, the fact that they don't reseed it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's just terrible. It really is. They don't reseed this stuff. So it's like Penn State has to beat SMU and Boise to see Georgia in the Final Four. Very, very beatable teams. I mean, Boise, they run the crap out of the ball, but Penn State, their defense can stop their run. We've got to beat Tennessee and Oregon. I mean, that's terrible. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, Tennessee's legit. I mean, this is a real team coming to the shoe.
Oh no, but I mean, SMU getting in over Alabama. I'm sorry, I just think that's a joke.
I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible for the sport. I think it's terrible because again, like, when you spit the bed in your championship game and you let because Clemson's the one that shouldn't have, and they never were in the conversation until they won. They hit a 56-yard field goal, which again. That's why you have to go spend your portal money and go get a kicker, because Clemson's guy hit a 56-yarder with the playoffs on the line to win the championship, and we can't hit a 30-yarder to beat Michigan. So the moral of the story is go get a kicker, because we didn't have one. And us not having a kicker, it made us go from 5 or 6 to 8. And so our road is treacherous now, and it shouldn't have been this way. We should have been playing Oregon in the championship, could have beat them. And if we didn't beat them, we'd be the 5 seed. We'd be cruising on into, give me a little scoop of that Arizona State, a little scoop of that Boise State, that little cakewalk. Instead, we got to play Tennessee and we have to play Tennessee, then Oregon. We have the hardest road in the entire tournament, by far. But can't do anything about it now. But good.
No, it just you shouldn't be punished for playing in a conference championship game if you have a resume. If you have a resume and you've accomplished something that you should be, but if you haven't played anybody, like the fact that they just automatically seeded them up there like that, I can't say that I'm stunned with the SMU thing, but I mean, I think the two biggest egregious things here are Penn State and Ohio State should be switched, and Alabama should be over to Indiana. Should be over SMU. Mean, that's my personal feelings. I don't even think that's even remotely debatable. I mean, I don't see an argument for either. There's nothing that you could say to me for either one of those teams that makes any sense.
3-loss Clemson is in the field, baby. Thank you, automatic bid. That is amazing.
But that's a rule like that.
Absolutely. When they hit that field goal last night, that Bama they were knocked out of that thing immediately. I mean, Bama had a bad night last night. They didn't play, but they had a bad night. Everything that could have gone wrong for them went wrong. So Georgia obviously getting in, not getting their third loss. Texas spitting the bit. Everything that could have went wrong. But
it was going to take them, because if SMU wins, they're in. The only way that Alabama's out is SMU loses on a last-second field goal. So that was their only path, I think. Yeah. Now who knows? Who knows with this committee, because no telling how they were going to go about doing this. But I think these are some egregious decisions, personally.
Yeah.
But somebody just explained it to me. Like, how does Penn State get in over Notre Dame? I mean, honestly, how's Penn State's resume?
That's because Notre Dame's only loss was literally they blew it versus Northern Illinois. They had that terrible loss. But other than that, it's just like they beat A&M at A&M. Yeah, like it makes no sense. And they only have one loss. That's no sense. They beat USC. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it just Penn State. I mean, and again, Penn State is good. They're surfing into the match with Georgia. They got 2 easy wins, so it'll be cake. And we get to see the Tennessee Volunteers. So our boys better get gassed up and get ready to roll, because Tennessee's real. They have real athletes. We're not playing these turds in the Big Ten. So our guys gotta get ready to go. Yeah. But hey, it's a win. I mean, if we do it, but I mean, they've got Nico at quarterback, and he's been schizophrenic. I mean, there was a time early in the season they looked like one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country, and then they hit the skids. And but when they're good, they're good. And I'm sure they'll be gassed up, ready to go up here, and their fans will travel, just because people are going to be excited for this playoff game. This is going to be awesome. So, but yeah, I don't know, Nevada. It's sketchy, and it's amazing. Missing 2 field goals, what it can cost you. And then we lose by 1, and then we miss 2 field goals versus Michigan, and it costs us basically either being the 1 seed or at worst the 5 seed. But that's the cost of show business right there, man.
But I just don't. I mean, literally, Georgia played Georgia Tech to 7 overtimes. So Georgia Tech had 7 match points to beat them. They made 2 yards on a 2-point conversion, and because they fought those off, that winning that, like, I don't know. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my mind around how, well, that's just super awesome. But I guess they had to be that way because they were the SEC champion, and if you rank them over the other champions, they're certainly better than Boise and Arizona State. So I guess from that standpoint, it really didn't matter. But I just, like I said, show me your wins, explain your losses. Who did SMU beat this year, man? Who did
Nobody?
Penn State beat
They beat
this
TCU,
year?
Louisville, Duke, and Pittsburgh. 60th strength of schedule. 60th strength of schedule. I mean, that's terrible. What's Ohio State's like 10? We had to play Oregon, Penn State. I mean, you look at that board, Indiana. We played 3 of the top 10 teams, and we beat 2 of them, So I don't know. It's just, it is crazy.
They actually had Indiana ranked 8th, so we had 3 of the top 8 teams by ranking, not just by by seeding. So 3 of the top 8 teams in the country, 2 of those 3 on the road, and we lost by 1 point.
I mean, Notre Dame didn't see any of these playoff teams, I don't think, unless they played Clemson. I don't know if they played Clemson or not, but it's just like Boise and like Arizona State. I mean, that's the thing that's terrible is that, they need to get rid of just the automatic top four thing with the conference champions. They should get in, but they shouldn't automatically be top four. That's crazy. Because like Arizona State should not be rated ahead of Ohio State when we had to play Oregon and Penn State. Like, have Arizona State go play those teams. I mean, come on. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
What would you change? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I have it on mute, so I can't hear whether I should have closed captions. But is anybody saying anything about this?
I can't listen to Booger or Joe. Even Joey's bad. I don't listen to those guys. I don't have the captions on. I just listen to what you have to say. But I'm sure they're stomping. It's McElroy, so I'm sure he's stomping for Bama. And they've had Saban on, so I'm sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I think Alabama should definitely be in over SMU. But again, that doesn't matter. Like, if you're a good team and you lose to good teams, it doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. It's all this Cinderella trash where you got to put in SMU and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, 8-9 Ohio State, Tennessee. It's what I thought it would be. It's what we got, and we got the Vols. So, what are your early thoughts, Nevada? Because this is gonna be a real one. We got 2 weeks to get ready for a really, really good Tennessee team, and they're fast and athletic, and I'm gonna watch some of their tape today. I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know all that much. I mean, Tennessee was certainly an opponent that we had been, talking about, playing about for a little bit. I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about Tennessee. I think it's really going to come down to Ohio State. It's really going to come down to where's Ohio State's head in this whole thing. Where's Ryan Day's head at? Where's Chip Kelly's head at? Because I don't think it's about who we're playing. I think it's about us. And, if Ryan can somehow play with reckless. I mean, I don't expect Ryan to all of a sudden become some Gen Z, roll the dice. But I honestly thought earlier in the year, look, he went for it more on fourth down this year than he has at any point in his career. And I don't know why he just tightened up, against Michigan. And, it's frustrating when you go back and watch some of the plays. And, even as bad as it was running up the middle, there were plays that were actually blocked up if our running backs go the right way that we might score in the red zone, but we went the wrong way and we didn't score. So it's it's a game of inches. Like I said, I think I'm sure Tennessee's really good. I think, look, I like the SEC. A lot of people like to bag on the SEC, but I have a lot of respect for SEC football, and so I'm sure Tennessee is going to be a really good football team, really competitive. But I just think it has to do with Ohio State. Wherever Ohio State's head's at is going to dictate how they do in this game. Because if we're ready to go, they're not going to be able to play with us. But that's the big question here over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is, like, with Tennessee is, like, they're legit. And again, I love the SEC. I love how the SEC invented marketing the conference and conference like that never existed before the SEC, where all these teams all root for each other, and they've got this like kind of manic thought process where they're like, oh, well, I play at Vanderbilt, but if Georgia wins the national title, it's like I win the national title. Like that never existed in the Big Ten until the SEC started. Because like people, all these crappy teams in the SEC would be like, well, it's hard to win in the SEC, and we won the Natty. And I was like, you guys didn't win the Natty. Bama won the Natty, or Georgia won the Natty. But they're going to be playing for pride. And I know the SEC hates the Big Ten. They've owned the Big Ten for a long part. And again, there's the Big Ten's got three. We got Indiana, and we're 4 teams with us and Penn State, and we got a chance to make a little hay here. Because again, Indiana, I think Indiana's going to give Notre Dame a little bit of a game, so that'll be interesting to see how those guys go. Because I mean, that state pride thing will be real interesting. And again, I think that SMU has to go to Penn State. I think Penn State's going to smash those guys. I really do. It's just like I look at Penn State's bracket. I got it up on the screen now where it's like they go SMU, then they play Boise. Then Indiana, Notre Dame gets Georgia, and Georgia will smash over. Whoever goes there is going to get eaten by the Bulldogs alive. But yeah, I mean, Texas. I think Texas will steamroll Clemson. They'll smash Arizona State. Then it's going to be Texas, Oregon, or it's going to be us in Texas. I mean, it's like I said, we've got the toughest path by far, because conceivably, if we beat Tennessee, we have to beat Oregon, then we have to beat Texas, and then we have to beat Georgia. So it's like literally the hardest 4-game run you could possibly do, that you could conceive. I mean, literally. And again, like Tennessee's a 9. So, I mean, you have to be realistic about who you get in that first round. But then we have to play basically what I think are the 3 best teams in the country. Texas, play Oregon, Texas, Georgia. We played Georgia in the national championship. So, yeah, eat your Wheaties, Ryan Day. Time to go. Again, no more sulking, no more worrying about the Michigan game, because if they run this table, this is the best Ohio State team of all time. If you could beat those teams in successive weeks, like nobody could touch this team if they can run this table and beat Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Georgia. Because again, I've been saying all year, those are the 3 teams that I want to avoid, and we have to run into all 3 of them to win the title. So, yeah, that Michigan loss loomed large, and it really made this road way harder than it needed to be. Because again, if you're that 5 seed, again, the Nevadabuck seed, you play Clemson, which again, Clemson's kind of tricky because they've got athletes. Arizona State is a cakewalk. I mean, really, the team that lucked out is Penn State. I mean, SMU, Boise, and then you play, Georgia. I mean, I'd much rather play Georgia than Oregon at this point. But we've got the familiarity with Oregon, and we beat them, lost them by 1 point. We get them on a neutral site, and let the chips fall where they may. And again, like if our guys show up and play, we can beat any of these teams easily. But they got to play. And our kicker can't be neurotic, and he can't be, schizophrenic and kick the ball out of bounds and miss field goals and stuff. Because again, that kills us. Like when you're playing in these playoff games, and again, we saw it against Georgia with Noah Ruggles, and we saw it against Michigan. Like we have to. At some point in our lives, we have to find a kicker who's an NFL level kicker, because we haven't had one since Mike Nugent. It's been 20 years since we've had an NFL kicker. So I don't know what we do to recruit special teams, but with the era of the transfer portal and these kids that are jumping in, these all conference kickers, I'd spend anything to get a kicker that I know is nails. Nevada, we've been going for about 50 minutes. What questions do you have? We're starting to get some super chats. Do you have any other comments? We'll start digging through some super chats.
Nah, I just like I said, I've generally been a big believer in terms of the BCS and the ranking system. I think today's a big L. I think today's a big L, not only for Ohio State, but for Alabama and for college football. And I think, they should really take down the published criteria that they have in terms of ranking teams, because they don't use it. And it's not, it has nothing to do with quality wins, comparable opponents, head to head. It has nothing to do with that. And I like I said, I think today's I think today's a black eye for college football. I think as good as the 12-team playoff is, when you get the wrong teams in there, and you have I think when there's such seeding inequity between the teams, and I think a lot of it goes to the addition of the conference champions getting the buys, the magic of the 5 spot that we talked about 9 months ago, all these things, the lack of reseeding. I think that this college football playoff is fatally flawed, and that's I mean look at Oregon. I mean, Oregon gets a home game, or excuse me, a bye, and then they get Ohio State. So I mean, Oregon's got to go Ohio State, Texas, Georgia.
Yeah.
That's your consolation prize for being number 1 in the country right there. Yeah. So like, while Penn State goes freaking SMU, Boise State, like, I mean, that doesn't stuff like that just doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't think these guys thought this thing out very well, and as a result is this mess that we see today.
Well, yeah, because like when you do this, and again, the first thing that they should do, like if I was the king of college football, the czar of college football, get rid of the conference championship games. Like, let's see this thing based upon how good the teams are, because at no point was Boise State ever the number 3 team in the country, ever. But now they are, and in this playoffs, they're number 3. Okay, so yeah, so if we play Oregon, it'll be the Rose Bowl at 5:00 Eastern. So it's it's gonna be December 21st. It's a night game, 8:00 for Ohio State, Tennessee. Night game in the Shoe, Nevada. Get the cocoa ready. We're gonna light the tree up. Oh my God. Bring the good juju. Leave that bad juju from the Michigan game at home. But dude, we got the night game, baby. I love it. December 21st, 8:00 in the Horseshoe. all the old ladies will not be able to go because it'll be too dark out. They won't be able to drive home. They'll never make it. Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, so December 20th, 8 o'clock, South Bend, Indiana. Then you've got Penn State at noon versus SMU. Texas Clemson at 4. Ohio State, Tennessee. Night game in the shoe, December 21st. That is going to be really cold. So you better have that cocoa fired up. Scoop Christmas tree lighting at the Nevadabuck original Pancake House sponsored tree. It'll be perfect. Can't wait. Bring your ramen noodles in a cup, nice and warm. And then we'd play Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Oh my God. Wow. That is something. And of course, Georgia is, in their game, of course, they're in the Sugar Bowl because they're never allowed to leave the South. They can't play in the Fiesta Bowl. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't make Georgia play in the Peach Bowl so that they'd have a home game for their playoff game like they always do. Your boy Ward's about to come on looking like Pizza the Hut from Spaceballs. Google it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, Ward's going to face the firing squad from all of the SEC honks on the ESPN broadcast, Booger and McElroy. It's going to be awesome. So, well, we'll dig into some super chats. Again, I appreciate you guys kicking it with us live today. This has been stunning, but yeah, you're right. If I could fix this playoff, Nevada, what am I wrong with when I say this? Get rid of the conference championship things. Don't make them the automatic top 4. That's idiotic. Reseed after the first round. So, if Clemson beats Texas, then Clemson has to play Oregon as opposed to, whizzing on to having Clemson versus Arizona State in the quarterfinals. That'd be like a disaster. What else would you change, Nevada? I mean, because I like that BCS model. Like that looked a lot more appealing to me than this does in terms of they had Ohio State at 4. And again, the old BCS computer rankings, that's how they type in the criteria, they'd spit it out, and there was no emotion. It was just, strength of schedule, win-loss margin. Again, they had Ohio State at 4, Texas at 5, Bama at 8. They're not even in the thing. Boise's all the way down at 12 because they didn't play anybody. Tennessee's at 11. I mean, Arizona State's not even on the chart. So, I mean, that's where Bama's up at 8. Arizona State's not even on the thing. I would use this because I like these rankings much better because it's just more realistic and accurate. This is just numbers. This isn't feelings, or we got to make sure that SMU's feelings don't get hurt and it's not a tragedy that they don't get in when they didn't have to play Georgia. Because again, I always look at, like, if you have SMU play Alabama schedule, they got to go play Georgia and LSU and all these teams. Like, do they survive that? There's no chance. Because they're not playing Duke and Pitt and Louisville. I mean, Bama they wouldn't lose those teams in a billion years. I know they lost to Vandy, but come on, like, let's be serious. What would you change to that? And we'll start digging into some super chats.
Yeah, I would take away the auto bid. I would give them auto bids, but I would take away giving them auto seeding. I think the auto seeding is insane. I think if you just did that, then you could just take 1 through 12 and just have your playoff. And to me, that would make a whole lot of sense. But if you're gonna do the seeding, with the auto seeding 1 through 4, then you have to reseed after the first round. You just have to. So because we've talked about this is a war of attrition. This is going to be the ultimate test, but it's not. For some teams, it's going to be the ultimate test. For other teams, it's literally a cakewalk into the semifinals, and that's not the way it should be. That it should never be that you could just be seeded into the semifinals on this thing. But that's what it is. They've given some teams, and frankly, Oregon had to play last night against Penn State. They get a bye for 1 week, and then they get Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, if that's the way it goes. That's their path. While Penn State, the team they beat, plays SMU and Boise State to get the semifinals. Now, how is that fair?
I almost would say, hey, here's the deal. If you win and you're the 1 seed, you get to pick where you're at on the bracket. We'll lay it all out. And You get to pick what spot you want. Because I'd be like, well, God, give me that Penn State spot where I get to play SMU, Boise. I wouldn't even care about a bye week. Give me that 12 seed. Or no, again, I would do the Nevadabuck 5 spot. I say, dude, give me where Texas is. Make Texas have to play Ohio State right away. or Tennessee. You know, like, come on. You know, I don't know. I think that's peculiar because, like, again, looking at Penn State's road, I mean, that's the road, man. Because again, you got to play SMU, Boise, then you're playing Georgia with their backup quarterback, which is huge. I mean, they got a backup quarterback who he didn't have to do much last night, and they won like 16-13 or whatever. It was a low scoring game, and I don't know. I mean, like, I'd take that any day of the week. I mean, Georgia's wounded if Beck can't play. I mean, he couldn't even lift his arm last night, so who knows what he has, but I don't know, Nevada. It's peculiar. It's real peculiar. All right, let's get into these super chats. Again, appreciate you guys kicking with us as we break this thing down. Lee, thank you for the 5. It's the playoff season. No more negativity from my fellow Buckeye fans. Time to win a natty. Thanks for the show, fellas. Go Bucks, Nevada OH. Appreciate you, Lee. Yeah, I'm not here to be negative. I'm just it's just funny. Like, I mean, I think that we've got beef. Oregon has beef. There's some teams that have serious beef. If I'm Penn State, man, I'm like, this is the greatest thing of all time. I love this playoff stuff. Matt Crawford, thanks for the 10. I'm usually for the who would you rather see or who would be favorite argument, but I'm over it when losing to a 6-6 team by 3 touchdowns, or being the reason 2 teams are even bowl eligible. So I'm thinking that's I don't know who that is. Who is that, Nevada? Losing to a 6-6 team by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think that happened. And that would be bad. If that happened, that'd be really, really bad. I don't remember that happening.
Was that Bama? I don't know who that was. It's not us. No, obviously.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Bama did. Yeah, they did. They lost maybe Arkansas. No. Oklahoma.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Hey,
yeah.
Looms large.
I get that. I get that.
I see that, Matt. I appreciate that feedback. Sean Rawlings, thank you for the 10. Did Beck get a stinger or something more serious? Do you think that injury factors in for a playoff bid? I obviously it didn't because they were the 2 seed and they won, but you know, I mean, he couldn't lift his arm. So I mean, I don't know. They haven't revealed what it was. It might have been just a stinger, but again, it's something you got to monitor. If a guy can't even, I mean, he could barely get that handoff. I mean, they had to put him in for that one play after that quarterback got rocked, and you know, I mean, he literally could barely hand the ball off. So I mean, it was his right arm, so it's his throwing arm. So again, maybe he'll come back and be at 100%, but it didn't look like it. I mean, if you can't even lift your arm to do a handoff, I don't know how you're supposed to throw it, 50 yards down the field on a dime. But that's just me. Nevada, I don't know if you watched the SEC championship, but like the very end, like they took out the backup quarterback because he got smoked, and they put Beck in and he handed it off to ETN for the win. But I mean, he didn't look too hot. But do you think that factors? I mean, it did factor into the playoff bid just because they were the 2 seed, but I don't know.
Well, they were they were one of the 5 conference champions, and who were you going to put over them? Boise State or Arizona?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
it's like
they had to be
the tallest midget.
Yeah, they had to be 2 by definition. But he hurt that arm bad on literally the same type of play, a backside hit against Georgia Tech, and then they had the exact same play on a Hail Mary, same hit on his elbow again. So when he came in and handed off, he was literally dangling his arm like he had a shot off or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they couldn't have been ranked anywhere other than 2, just because of, the way the thing's set up. But, could he be wounded going to the playoff? Yeah, that didn't look good. Yeah, that didn't look good at all.
No, it really didn't. No way, 87. Thanks for the deuce. Take all David Sanders' disappointment out of the David Sanders Bowl, baby. We're here for it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what it is. Like, it's funny how things end up shaking out, but yeah, we lose David Sanders, this kid. Now we get a chance to beat him on the field. So I'd be excited. I mean, I think that these guys got a shot to do something. And like I said, they got to get ready to go. Maurice Clarinet, thanks for the 5. Hope you're doing good. At least we're hosting a home game. But after that, we have the hardest path. Yeah, we do. Scum screwed us. Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, we have to beat the 3 best teams in the country to win the national title, including Georgia in the championship game, which I believe is in Atlanta. Again, let me see where the national championship game is, because I think that it's in Atlanta. Again, I got to double check that. Give me 1 second as I get my screen back up. But I think that we got to play in the Benz Bowl for the championship. So we'd have to see Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz Dome, of course. It's like every other time we play them. So I don't know, Nevada. You agree? I mean, I think there's no question we have the hardest path to win a championship. What are your thoughts?
Oh, Tennessee is the hardest
Yeah,
path because they got to
you're
play.
right.
They got to play at our stadium.
Yeah,
So I mean, 8 and 9 really got hosed on this thing. And again, that's a flaw in the system. It shouldn't be that teams that have a lower seeding have an easier path to the final, but that's what you have. And you
yeah.
have teams that are ranked over you that shouldn't be ranked, and you have teams that are ranked under you that have an easier path. And I'm trying to figure out how that makes sense, but I really don't think they've thought this 12 team playoff thing out very well. And today the problems with it are on full display.
Oh, and shock of shocks, the national championship game is in Atlanta, just like every other time. So if we have to win the thing, we have to go play Georgia in Atlanta. So that'll be, fun, like always. We always get a lot of help from the officials when we play down there. So yeah, yeah, you're right. Tennessee has a tougher path because they have to see us, but we're number 2. J Matt 2112 next to the 5. Manuel being the commissioner makes about as much sense as the elephant hanging off of a cliff with his tail tied to a daisy. NCAA, please act soon. Yeah, it's strange times right now for old Ward, but he got that position, and I think that leaving Alabama out was egregious, but otherwise we gotta beat Michigan, and if we do that, then we take care of our business. But when you lose that game and Michigan's terrible and we suck even worse that day, then it hangs us out there. So it sucks. You just got to win that game and go play Oregon and do the best you can, and then you end up probably being the 5 or 6. Reese Claudette, thanks for the 10. Winning the Natty will save the season, but I'll never say this is the greatest OSU team of all time. The greatest OSU team doesn't lose to a 65 scum at home. They missed that chance. Well, we got to wait till the season plays out. Again, this is going to be a long road to hoe, but if we can beat Oregon, Texas, and Georgia in 3 straight weeks, then this is the best team of all time. I'm sorry. Even if we lose to Michigan at home, and people can say I'm crazy, and I haven't been in the mimosas this morning or anything, but that is the toughest schedule in the history of Ohio State. There's never been anything like that, and you got to go on the road to beat all those teams too. You're neutral site games. You're not doing anything in the horseshoe, so that'll be tough. And again, I know that we did it when we played Wisconsin, Bama, and Oregon. Obviously to end the season along with Michigan. But this will be tough because these are all neutral sites, and these teams are really good. Like really, really good. So that Wisconsin team, they were good, but they weren't that good. Like these 3 teams that we're going to play are really good. So Nevada, am I crazy? Now, again, that might be a little hyperbole saying it's the greatest team ever, but I mean, if they run the table on that thing, not to mention starting it off beating Tennessee after that Michigan loss, like they're definitely, I think they're it for me. Because again, you have to win the national championship in Atlanta versus Georgia. So they have a home game again, because every time we play them, it's like when we played LSU in Louisiana, like they don't ever have to come up here. We always have to go to their home base and play, and it's grossly unfair, but it's fine. I'm not crying about it, but that's just the benefit to the South having a stranglehold on these games is like, there's no bowl games in Cleveland. Hopefully they start putting some up here because we're going to have that new stadium, but we always have to go to Atlanta. We have to go to Florida. We have to go to Louisiana for the stupid Sugar Bowl, and it is what it is. I mean, like Georgia looks pretty tempting at this point to bet on because I mean they're gonna have a home game, and again when they get to play in that stadium where they've played there more than any team in the universe because they play their neutral site games there, they play the playoffs there. They always seem to draw the Bulldogs there. They're tough out there. Nevada, what are your thoughts? Could this be the greatest team of all time if they run the table, or am I just absolutely insane because we did get smashed by Michigan at home?
I mean, look, yeah, we're doing the hypotheticals on top of hypothetical. Yeah, we got to win 4 in a row against really good teams. So I think we can revisit this as we go, but certainly if we did that, that would go down on the annals of great teams. I think once you see this bracket and you see this, it's a tough path, man. I mean, that's I know you're only playing one at a time, but that is a tough road to the national championship compared to literally anybody in the field. And I understand losing to Michigan, but man, a lot of these teams, had a lot of these teams didn't have any good wins and had some bad losses. So certainly losses worse than Michigan. So I I don't understand it. And but yeah, tough road for sure. If they're able to run it, then that would be quite the accomplishment.
Do you think we were unjustly punished for losing to Michigan? Like over the top punished for losing to Michigan?
No doubt. I mean,
Okay.
no. Well, but I think we also got punished just by the playoff format. The
Yeah.
format that puts teams in, that are undeserving over you automatically, getting home field advantage and buys, first round buys for teams that are bad. Um, I just think it's a flawed system, and um, I think it's kind of like you look at the brackets in March Madness, and you kind of go, nobody's ever really been bracketed in March Madness all the way to the championship. Like you have to play games, like you got to go play the
Hmm.
games, and the brackets may be a little bit different, but they're not that much different. You know what I'm saying? This one, these paths are just so different for teams, like so completely disparate, um, that it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that a team like Penn State should have such an easy path to the championship when they've played nobody, they've beaten nobody, and yet they get rewarded with by far, I mean, easier than Oregon's, easier than anybody's. Their path to the championship is it's almost a cakewalk. And to me, I don't understand how that can be. And that'd be like being in the NFL playoff, and all of a sudden they just seeded Kansas City into the Super Bowl. That's kind of
Yeah.
what they've done with Penn State in this thing. They literally
Hmm.
seeded Penn State at the minimum into the national semifinal, and I just think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, they're gonna see Georgia. I mean, they'll steamroll. I mean, still be, they'll be probably what 7-ish over SMU and probably 7 to 10 over Boise. I think. I mean, talking in terms of the spread. Um, yeah. I mean, Ohio State, we're gonna be even money versus Oregon. I mean, we might be. I don't want to say we'd be slight favorites, but again, for the Michigan game, going to that Michigan game, the future odds of us in the Big Ten title versus Oregon was we were -3, and we didn't suffer any injuries. Now we lost, but that's what Vegas thought of the matchup. So I don't know, but yeah, it's this is gonna be a tough road to hoe. It's gonna be interesting. Ranjit, sorry, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, brother. Hope you're doing great today. Recommendations for the college football playoff: 1, continue guaranteeing a slot for conference champions. 2, seed the 12 teams from highest CFP ranking to lowest instead of reserving the top 4 for conference champions. And then 3, reseed after rounds. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think it's gonna be something really close to that. I think you have to do that. So yeah, it's gonna be I don't know. Guaranteeing a slot, I get. But then after that, like you can't just be a top 4 seed just because you won a terrible conference. Like that's gonna die pretty quick. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think the just the enormity of the implications that are just kind of on display today. And like I said, I mean, if you're Oregon, you're number one Oregon, you're looking at it right now and kind of going, wow, they didn't do us any favors. I mean, we got the first round bye just like these other teams did, but then after that we get Ohio State, and then we get Texas, and then we like that's not the way it should be, man. The I think Oregon deserves the easiest path to the championship. They earned it all year. They played some tough teams. They beat everybody, which is really hard to do, and you should be rewarded for that. It shouldn't. There's nobody else should have an easier path to the final than the number one seed. But in this one, you've got way easier paths.
Yeah, I agree. Gabe Gaines, thanks for the 5. The ESPN guys mentioned Tennessee's defensive line is great. Worried about our O line. Ryan can't run it 50 times up the middle. Nevada OH.
I oh
Yeah, I mean this is the best defensive line we've seen easily, and we've got to eat our, we're gonna show up. We're gonna play. And again, Ryan has got to move the pocket. He can't have the dumbest game plan. I mean, against Michigan, that was the dumbest game plan I've ever seen. So there's nowhere to go but up after that one. So got to move the pocket. Again, they got to cover JJ Smith. They got to cover Emeka. If our guys got to wear long sleeves or whatever, like, let's get it on. We're fine. We'll survive. But we got to block these guys, and again, there's ways to help these guys, and running right at their best players isn't the way to do it. Move the pocket around, chip their one end is a top 20 pick. So chip him, help out on him. And let's go. And again, like, these guys they got a lot to prove, and run the ball, but don't just run it right up the middle like an idiot versus with Tigra struggling and not playing really well. Get out on the edge. We've got a lot of speed. Again, I can come in and design the game plan for this to beat these guys. Now, I don't know if Ryan wants it, but I'm just saying, don't run at their best players. Don't single up Pierce versus Donnie Jackson or Josh Fryer on the edge. That is a recipe for disaster. Help those guys. Chip them. Put the tight end there. 7-man protected. Make these guys have to defend our receivers. It's not hard. Their quarterback will turn it over, guaranteed. So just make plays. And again, our defense is nasty. Again, you remember, like, we lost, but our defense against Oregon, at the very end of the game, they gave us a chance to win. They held Oregon, who's got Dan Lanning, who's like Dan Campbell Jr., goes for it all the time, goes for 2, goes for it on 4th down, Mr. Riverboat Gambler himself. They forced him to kick like a 19-yard field goal to take the lead against us. So our defense repelled them out, kept them out of the end zone. And our defense, they couldn't have, I don't know what they're supposed to do against Michigan. We threw a pick 6 basically, so they were down on the 1-yard line. That was the only touchdown they gave up, and they held them to 2 field goals. So we did nothing to help our defense out the entire day. So the offense has got to, these guys have to go earn their money. These guys make a lot of money. They got to go earn it now. And again, Ryan's got to figure out a way to go against this D line. And again, you can go against anybody. You just got to figure out a way to do it. It's not really that hard, unless you're stupid. If you're stupid and you sit back there and let these guys tee off on Will Howard, then it's going to be a really, really short day, and Ryan will probably get fired on the field. But again, there's a way to prevent that. I just hope he figures out a way to do it. Because again, the game plan of let's run right at their best player and hope that Tiger can block him, dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And again, so, but they've got a couple weeks to get ready for these guys. And, again, we go against Tyleek and Ty and Jack and JT, and we go against a great D-line in practice every day. So is Tennessee's D-line better? We're going to see. They might be on paper. They're talented as can be, and I'm going to watch the film as soon as I get out of here. But our guys have got to step up. They got to play better. Show H, thanks for the 5. Praying Ryan learned his lesson from last year's game versus Missouri. This year's Nebraska-Michigan games with the play calling. Well, he better, or else it's going to be the natives are not going to be happy. But Missouri, I don't count that because we lose. McCord hits Kyle McCord is in the portal this time last year, so it was the Devin Brown show and Lincoln Keenholz, and Devin did great in bowl practice, but he got hurt on like the first play of the game or first drive of the game or 2 drives or whatever, and we put Lincoln in, and for whatever reason, our idiotic staff put Matt Jones at center. Matt didn't know the calls. It was a disaster. It was like watching a plane crash, watching that game, and I don't know what they were thinking. Again, they were trying to make a point to Carson Hinsman. I don't know what they're doing, but it hurt our tackles. We used the same snap count. We couldn't identify the fronts. It was, and then you put Lincoln back there, and Lincoln didn't know the plays, and Lincoln hadn't played all season with the offense. Because again, when you're the 3rd string quarterback, you don't get very many reps. Like in general, the way they format a practice at Ohio State is the starter probably takes 60% of the reps, the backup takes 40% of the reps, and the third guy goes down to play scout team versus the other defense. So Lincoln was down there all season, redshirting, not thinking he's going to play, reading plays off cards and, trying to give a good look to the defense. Cause that's what the 3rd quarterback does. Like when I was a freshman and we had Craig Krenzel, Scott McMullen, Troy Smith, and Justin Zwick. Like Justin Zwick and Troy Smith were down playing scout team. They would rotate back and forth and go stand with the first offense to watch the plays. But if you would have put those guys in a game, they would have been ready to play. They didn't know the plays. They might have known them, but they didn't know them like you need to know them. There's a difference between knowing your playbook and being able to execute it at a high level when the ball snapped. There's a difference. Like I could draw it up on the chalkboard, but can you do it in real time when a team's trying to, stunt and blitz and fire zone against you? There's a whole different ball of wax. So I think Ryan's learned his lesson, but that was also, you can't take anything from that Missouri game because we were down so bad after losing Devin early, because Devin was the guy that was supposed to play and he got hurt. So just flush it down the toilet. Dalton Snook, thanks for the 5. Night game on my birthday against an SEC team. Let's go. Believe defense wins championships, and we have the best defense. Time to lock in. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it'll be an interesting game. Now, Joel Klatt just came out with a comment. Here's, and I don't agree with Joel Klatt. This Joel Klatt usually plays things down the middle. He's like, what a horrendous job this committee did. The team that was penalized the most was Oregon football, and the team that was rewarded the most was Penn State football. I guess the Ducks should have just laid down in the fourth quarter. Just atrocious. I mean,
he's right.
He's right.
He's right. I mean, and he's a Big Ten honk. I mean, he works for the Big Ten. I mean, he's a Fox broadcaster, does the big noon kickoff every week. Like, he's dead right. You know, it's what you've been saying. It's like, dude, Penn State, they're skating all the way into that Georgia game. You know, Oregon's going to play us. We were the 1 seed 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever we played. I mean, we were the number 1 seed, and now they have to play us in their first game. So it's like,
no, it's just. I mean, it's funny. They would have been better off losing that game last night.
Dude, you said it all year. The 5 seed is overpowered. It turns out this time the 6 seed is overpowered. But like either way, you get through. You know, I mean, playing Clemson, who's got 3 losses, and then seeing Arizona State. I mean, that's pretty close to the old, you know, the Boise State and whatever. But I don't know. He's right. I mean, like I said, it doesn't help them.
They should have sat Dylan Gabriel and lost the game last night, and they would have had better seed. And anytime you have a situation where somebody's rewarded for losing a game would present an easier path to the ultimate goal of winning the national championship, then the system's messed up. It's like severely messed up.
It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster is what it is.
No, I think the committee literally set college football back big time with this thing. I mean, that's bad. I mean, and again, for the record, I don't like Joel Klatt. I don't agree with his takes, but he's pretty careful with his words. He's usually pretty vanilla. But I mean, for him to come out and say this is atrocious, I agree. It's a joke. When Oregon, Dan Lanning's got to be sitting there going, man, I wish we wouldn't have made one more play. We should have. We are literally better off today having lost that game than having beaten Penn State last night. And that's a tough spot to be in.
No, dude, you got to go play Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, or you got to play, or you got to play Tennessee. Tennessee's no slouch. I mean, they got real players on their team. So I mean, yeah, it's like, again, I think that the backlash will be, you know, this committee's got to sit down and say, okay, we got to adjust this, because you can't have like Arizona State and Boise State. It looks ridiculous. Like, you had Ohio State all the way down at 8, and we lose by 1 point to the 1 seed, the unanimous 1 seed. And we lose by 3, you know, in a rivalry game, which is still terrible, and we're all the way down at 8. And again, you know, Arizona State, maybe they beat Michigan. I don't know, but I mean, they're not beating Oregon. There's no way, and it's definitely not a 1 point game up at Alton. But yeah, it's it stinks, because this is the only playoff format that would do something like this, where it's like, you look at like the basketball tournament, like, they're not going to seed a team a 1 seed if they're not a deserving 1 seed. You know, they're not going to say, oh, well, you guys all get a bye because you won, you know, the MAC, or you won some small conference. Like, that's just not how it works. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they adjust it. And again, it's, you know, again, Bama should be in this thing, and they're not. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but it's so strange seeing Arizona State as one of the top 4 teams in the nation, when nobody in a million years. I mean, they could have lost to Iowa State yesterday, and they wouldn't even be in this thing. They wouldn't even be in the discussion. But instead, they're the 4th team, which, again, that's why this is stupid. Jared A. Brandon, what is up, brother? Thank you for being an Ultra member. Hope you're doing great. From Fremont, Ross, or Fremont, I don't know if you went to Ross. That's where Woodson went. So hope you're good, my dude. Now a Tennessee resident will wear extra OSU gear every day, everywhere. Hopefully win and face Oregon, where Buckeyes love to travel. Have some faith. Maybe we can beat the rest of the time in Atlanta. Nevada OH. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an expensive, and again, like, you know, logistically, it's like, you know, the home game, great. But then we have to go to the Rose Bowl, which will be expensive, because that'll be like New Year's Day in LA, which is going to cost a fortune. And then I don't know. The thing I don't know is, I don't know where that the round of 4 games are, because I don't think I saw what games were missing. I didn't see the Orange Bowl, so that's got to be one of them. and maybe the Cotton Bowl's the other one. I didn't see those two, but again, I wasn't really paying attention. But then, like, for the championship, of course, it's in Atlanta, so you're going to see Georgia. Like, Georgia's going to come out of that side of the bracket, and then those guys don't have to buy a plane ticket, buy a hotel. They can just drive in the day of the game, and so that'll be full of dogs. But yeah, well, I'm telling you, I hope that for your sake that they win, that Ohio State wins, so that the Vols don't overwhelm you down there. But I appreciate you, my dude. Schaefer Healthcare, thanks for the 5. Is there a result of this game that could result in Ryan getting canned, or is he safe no matter what? Nevada, I want to throw that one to you because, again, I don't think he can get canned because, 35 million is a lot, 30, whatever the buyout number. I mean, that is so much money to just give away. I don't think we've got that kind of money laying around, frankly. If we got massacred by Tennessee, I still don't think he'd get fired. It'd be hard to fundraise and people would be upset, but I don't know. Is there any scenario where you think Ryan could get fired after this game, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he drops the first round home playoff game, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they've stated no. They've stated they're committed to him, but I just, circumstances always can change. And I think in this situation, if he lost, with the like you said, it's all about donors. It's all about fundraising, being able to support the school as well as NIL. And if stuff like that happened, let's just not lose. Let's just, let's win the first game at home and not have to deal with it because I can't even imagine how hot the seat would be if he lost again, 2 games at home back to back. That'd be tough, really, really tough.
Yep. T. Shicey, thanks for the 5. Sorry, but we're losing to Tennessee. Day is still the head coach. Well, that's a good super chat coming right on the heels of Nevada saying, guys, let's stay positive. That was like Johnny on the spot to come in with a quick 5 to not be positive. Pooh Beard 12, thank you for the 5. Thanks for being offered as well. There's no objective measure where we are worse than Texas or Penn State. They had to keep us behind them to justify keeping SMU in. Nevada, I think Pooh Beard, who's one of our sharpest posters, is onto something, and I think he nailed it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just think they look. I think there's multiple screw ups on this thing, and I think that was definitely one of them. And I think the SMU game breaking that way kind of provided some sort of fodder for that to happen. But yeah, I'd really love to hear a logical explanation from anybody about why something like that would happen, other than this unspoken thing about, well, we're not going to punish a team for being the guy. I mean, if Clemson was up on SMU like 24-7 or whatever, if that game had finished 24-7, do you think SMU gets in, or do you think they get punished by falling from 3 all the way out of the playoff? I think they'd be all the way out of the playoff. So, yeah, I just think I don't know what they were thinking, but like I said, Ohio State's not the only team that got screwed on this. I mean, there's multiple teams that got screwed, and they handed out pass to the semis like candy. And I just think it's a format problem, and they've got to fix the format, or this is going to happen every single year. The team that's going to win is not going to be the most worthy team. It's going to be the luckiest team with the seeding. It's kind of like golfing, where you win a golfing bet by setting the right stakes on the opening tee. That's how it's going to be in the college football playoff. Who gets luckiest on the seedings, because there are very disparate paths between teams that are ranked lower and higher than each other, and that should never be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's crazy because, like, again, we got screwed. But I mean, Oregon's going to play us, Texas, Georgia. I mean, that's not going to be fun, and they're the 1 seed unanimous, and again, it is what it is. And again, I hear the Georgia Bulldog barking in the background. So again, them dogs, I think the dogs got a good path. They get to go play in Atlanta for the championship. Like, that's going to be about what you project. I mean, it'll be us, Texas, or you look at that top bracket, then you look at the bottom bracket. I think Georgia is this like they're looking at that bracket like, God, you got Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas all up top. So the 3 big dogs other than Georgia. And so Georgia has to play Indiana or Notre Dame, and then they have to play Penn State to get to the title. And I'm just like, that is a cakewalk compared to the top bracket where it's us, Texas, and Oregon all on the same side. Noonan, 40, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you calling me crazy, but I absolutely love this draw. Home night game in the shoe, then a revenge game in the Rose Bowl. Strap up, beat Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, to get to them goals, man, we got to earn it. That's why I said, like, if we run the table in this thing, is the best team in Ohio State history. And again, even with the Michigan loss, like, if you can run this table, this is the hardest path possible, then God bless these guys. I mean, these guys have been through a lot. They've been beaten to death by the fan base since we lost to Michigan, and they got a chance to shove it up some hind ends if they want to show up and go play. So again, it's how interested are they going to be? How fiery are they going to be? Can they lock it and do it? I mean, they can do it. I mean, this is something where, Urban would have been getting these guys geared up and ready to go. And you got to pull out all the stops, man, because you got to win the home game. And then you get to go see Oregon, who you lost by 1 point. You get to play them in the Rose Bowl. Again, that'll be easier for their people to get to than ours, but we'll still be out there supporting them. Our people love to go to the Rose Bowl. But yeah, it's gonna be a real one. But yeah, I think you gotta just get gassed up and get ready to pull out all stops versus Tennessee. And then you got 10 days to get ready for Oregon. So this will be good for the guys. Poober 12, thank you for being alternative to the 20. Nico versus the worst 6 teams that he played, Nevada. 91 for 129, 70% for 1,327 yards, 16 touchdowns, 3 picks, 34 rushes for 202 yards, and 1 touchdown. Games versus Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, Bama, Kentucky, Georgia. He was 108 for 174, 62% for 1,174 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. And then, so basically what Poober is saying is that Nico feasted on bad teams with his 16 touchdowns, 3 picks, and was terrible versus good teams, where he named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. So what you're saying is that, I mean, because I would take our defense over anybody, and I'd say we're on par with Georgia. I mean, Georgia's defense is fantastic, obviously. But that being said, and I'm talking Georgia when they're interested. Don't come at me with, well, they gave up 200 yards to UMass on the ground. I get that, because when Georgia doesn't feel like playing, they look atrocious. But when they're gassed up playing Texas or they're playing us, like, that's not the same team that plays UMass, I promise you. So Nevada, because again, Nico was a guy that was early season Heisman contender, and then he fell off the earth, fell off a cliff, and we just got to get after him. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, now again, yes, quarterbacks play better against bad teams than they do against good teams. That will be true forever and ever. But yeah, our defense is really good. Playing a night game, I mean, we should be there. We should be there. Just the guys got to come up and do a thing. I don't worry about Knowles. Knowles has got it dialed in. I know our defense will show up. But let's just hope that our offense responds, and I think they will. I think Chip and Ryan are sufficiently embarrassed that they're willing to amend some things and make a better showing of themselves. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's wrap this thing up. NFL Sunday is rolling. What are your final thoughts on this?
I just think it's a bad day for college football. I really do. I mean, we've talked all year about the playoff and about things, but man, when you're sitting there looking at these playoff paths, it's really hard to justify. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my mind around the inequity, and I'm not talking about just Ohio State. I'm talking about just the inequities in the whole thing, and it doesn't. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been involved in a lot of leagues and a lot of places, and I've never seen one where there was more disparity between paths to a championship, and I think that's ultimately bad for the sport. But that's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, and that's funny. The funny thing is, like, you've been involved in owning baseball teams, hockey teams, globally, all over the place, and like, I couldn't imagine like if there was a playoff format like this where it's like, okay, we got the clear number 1 team is there, and we're gonna give you the hardest path to whatever the cup is at the end of whatever the national champ or whatever championship it is. We're gonna give you a much tougher path than the team that you beat last night, who is the 6th seed. I couldn't fathom a league, because college football does screw everything up. But like, I mean, this is so bad that it's almost unspeakable that Oregon, who went 13-0 and they beat Penn State last night, has a much tougher path than Penn State does. Like that's like literally insane to me. Literally.
Yeah, no, well, it's great. I mean, and as you mentioned, look at Georgia's path. Georgia's path is a cakewalk compared to Oregon's.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
like,
God. Yeah.
and they get games at home. So it's like, I mean, like I said, I just think that's a bad format, and the people that did this should be embarrassed.
Yeah, tell you we got a super chat at the buzzer. B, thank you for the deuce. Hope you're doing great today. What did you guys think about Oregon's defense last night, Nevada OH? The same thing I thought about it when we played them. I mean, they've got individual really good players, but they are vulnerable in the back end, to say the least. I mean, they get shredded by teams, and we lit them up. So again, I don't know. Like I said, I would tell you if I was scared of them, but I'm not. I mean, Penn State was throwing it all over the field on them, and we moved it up and down the field on them. And again, if JG doesn't get called for a terrible offensive pass interference, like we win that game. We win the game. Again, we get a 15-yard OPI. And again, I don't know if I've seen another offensive pass interference this entire season. And I watch football 10 hours a day. Like, I mean, you see it very, very sparingly. And they decided to call that from 30 yards away. The dude launched the flag. And I was just like, of course, JJ gets punished because JJ is like LeBron James and he's like Shaq. He's bigger than everybody else. So if he touches somebody, they go flying, even though he gets mugged the entire game. So, again, just dumb call, terrible officiating. So yeah, this is just my thoughts on it. Nevada, you have any thoughts on Oregon's defense, and we will get out of here on that.
Yeah, they're just not very good. I mean, Oregon's defense is just not very good, and yeah, that's certainly their offense is first rate, but their defense is not very good.
Yeah, and that's something you need to win a title. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Happy Sunday. Again, I appreciate you guys kicking it with us during our selection show. We're going to do this every year. I love doing it. It was actually really fun. Great questions as always. Thank you guys for being a part of this. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, love you guys to death. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Browns are playing the Steelers. Our boy Jameis has got a touchdown to Jared Judy already. So let's go watch some of this great NFL football. So again, you want a great Christmas present, BuckeyeScoop.com. Our memberships are, and they're at their lowest price ever right now. So go ahead and jump on there, sign up your family. If you have any questions, hit us up, BuckeyeScoop@gmail.com. Absolutely an incredible Christmas gift that you can use year-round. An annual membership is something that you'll get a ton of use out of, and I think you guys will absolutely love using it. So, but as always, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys all so much. If you do something huge for us, please subscribe to our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts. Super easy to do. Search for it on your iPhone. Search for the podcast app. Type in Buckeye Scoop. Click subscribe. Super, super easy. And it's something that really helps us out. So as always, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Great show today. And I appreciate you guys. Go Bucks.